Hello and welcome back to the Invictus Racing League, and we're back for the IRL F1 League back on Monday nights here 8 p.m. As always, for the next few months we'll be bringing you the fastest guys here in Invictus, and as always joining me in the commentary box is my good friend Sab. How are you doing, mate?
Yes, I'm good, thank you. It seems like a long time, doesn't it, that we were here for actual league racing. It's the F1 League now on a Monday night. No more no assists. So last season's no assist champion Charlie will be hoping to become the F1 champion this year, but he's got a lot to do this season, as we've seen in pre-season. This is shaping up to be one hell of a season. We've got so many amazing talents in this lobby. Boy better know he's back. He missed both of pre-seasons due to hardware issues at home. You've got Sam of the Pitto, who we know is fast. White Fountain's fast. Harry's fast. Foxy Red even stood on the podium twice during pre-season. So many names to reel off. It's going to be one hell of a first race tonight.
Yeah, cannot wait for this one. Round one of the championship takes us to the Hungarian, just outside, 30 minutes outside of Budapest. Beautiful European city. 15th longest circuit on the F1 calendar at 4.38 kilometres. That's just over 2.7 miles. It's a 610 metre stretch from pole down to T1. That longest straight is that start-finish straight, 908 metres. And approach to turn 1 is around 190 miles an hour. That's 305 kilometres with full throttle, 55% of the lap. Gear changes around here, it's around 48 per lap. That's 1690 over the 50% race distance, 14 turns, and it's always a fascinating track with that very street-like feel to it. And Sab, we'll find out tonight, is anyone on the grid that smooth operator?
I like that. You probably put me off my train of thought with doing that, but that was nicely done. That is a good question, isn't it? Because this track isn't. You'd think on paper it'd be an easy track. It's really not an easy track at all, and there's not many places to overtake. They say it's very similar to Monaco the way it is, and tonight, I honestly could not point at one or two or even three people for podiums or wins tonight, because there is that many who have got in here tonight who could potentially steal it. I'm thoroughly excited to see what on earth qualifying is going to be like. Let's hope for a dry first qualifying. And I don't want any rain, not this time. Let's see them all going flat out as quick as they can possibly go, and see who really can get their nose in front early on in this season, because at the moment you just can't put your finger on it. Not for me anyway. It's too difficult. In terms of smooth operator, maybe Scott, but he's probably rusty. He's not done any practice or any sort of racing since last season, so you can imagine he might be a bit rough around the edges as well. So yeah, I honestly don't know where to go with this. Qualifying should be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating opening. As you say, of course, dynamic weather is on. It was turned on to clear for pre-season, so the guys to get back into the swing of league racing after that a few weeks break off between seasons. But yeah, of course, we could see wet weather, which has tended to play a part in Hungary, although it is in the middle of summer usually. It does tend to have that slightly strange weather come across every now and then. But we will go to track very shortly. Of course, it's a track that can be notoriously very difficult to overtake on, and you do really have to kind of cope on. Maybe the first sector is probably your best option of getting those overtakes done. And yeah, you look through the grid, and we've said, or you said previously, there's a whole host of drivers that we're expecting to see up the top end of the grid. And equally, there's a couple of guys newer guys that are fresh to the league, and ones that have joined us from Wednesday nights. Of course, the IRL F1 League is the amalgamation of the Monday Night No Assist League and the Wednesday night Equal Performance F1 League. So we've pulled our biggest, best and strongest together, put them together on a grid, and we'll see what they do when they go up against each other. And there we go, just as you were hoping for, Sab. It is beautifully clear skies ahead in Budapest, and we have 18 drivers on the grid for this 18-minute session here. And We had, of course, Foxy Red 2000 and Jumper Lynam are two race winners in pre-season. And what you're expecting from those two is it's a confidence-boosting win in pre-season, but once you get to the big time of that round one, can they make that jump up and really push themselves towards the front end of this very talented pool of drivers?
That is the question. John Polainen, I have to say, was absolutely superb last week. He absolutely nailed it in qualifying, and he was under a bit of pressure early on, maybe a bit of nerves, but once he settled in and he built that gap that from the DRS detection, he was never to be seen again, really. He drove superbly all the time. It'd be fascinating to see how well he does. Foxy Red, I want to keep an eye on as well, because he got on the podium in both of those races in pre-season. He looks superb so far. I've pointed out a few times, I've really enjoyed how he's defended. He's defended hard, but he's not over defended, if you understand what I mean by that. He's made sure that it's fair as well, and not only that, he's been very quick as well. So Foxy Red for me is another one to keep an eye on. But there's 18 drivers in this qualifying session. You could literally point at every one of those 18 and say they've got a potential of going for the very top of the standings tonight. So yeah, I cannot wait. As you can see, a few of them now are heading out for their first outlaps.
Yeah, it looks like I'm having a little bit of that sound glitch, unfortunately, at the moment. So it is a bit quiet on track, but don't worry, we'll hopefully it'll be fixed before the race comes. But it is Burmeister we're on board with. He was the first one out of the garage, out on the hardest compound tyre, that white-walled hard tyre. He'll be rolling around, and a couple of drivers following him out, but looks like the majority of the field, I'd say around 60-70%, have decided to go on to the hard tyres to start with. We'll see if they make that swap onto the mediums or the softs, but you can see is anyone there out on Psycho, one of the new drivers, as of course we said last week when he joined us for the first time. That's hopefully by name, not by nature, but he's out on the medium tyres. But it's one of those tracks, Sab, around here, as Burmeister's the first one to start a lap. He's just going through the first corner now, that it is very technical, and it doesn't really, when you look at it, look like it's a particular circuit that people struggle with. But there are certain corners on here that you've really got to watch out for, especially for track limits. And we're coming up to one right now as we're on board with Burmeister, and it's that very quick flash left-hander in turn 4. It's very easy to run out wide and invalidate that lap. And then equally, this long right-hander that's almost a hairpin light, you get on that inside curb and it will turn the car right around. So these guys have got to be really careful with their throttle application this evening.
They really have. You nailed it for me. I've always struggled at turn 4 and turn 5. Like you say, you clip that curve at turn 5 and you're suddenly facing the wrong direction. It is a real danger. You've got to make sure, you've got to try and tuck in, but you've got to also make sure you don't clip that curve as well. Turn 4 I've always found quite difficult as well, because like you say, you can easily run wide going through there, and suddenly you find you've got an invalidated lap and you're going to have to start again. So yeah, I find it really fascinating that, like you say, the majority of the drivers tonight are all fancying the longer run, the harder tyres, as Burmeister sets the first lap, fastest lap on the harder tyres with a 1:19.3. I'm riding on board with John Polainen as Rasty has gone even quicker. John Polainen's coming around now. He's on the hard tyre. I wanted to watch him nope, John Polainen, he's bailed on his lap, so I presume he must have invalidated somewhere, and he's straight back into the pit lane.
Just on board with Meg Luppy here in the McLaren. He's coming up to the final corner, doing his first flying lap on the hard tyres as well. So currently it's Sam that set the benchmark time. Can Meg Luppy go up to the top? He does. It's a 1:18.4. Good lap there from Meg. Of course, he's had one season under his belt as part of the No Assist Championship, so he's getting back into the swing of things when it comes to using those no assists after making it his first season last season. And Meg, towards the end of last season, he was being quite consistent in qualifying. It was just that race pace that he was starting to, it was really struggling to kind of keep it consistent, but you can see already in qualifying that's a good bench time for him at a 1:18.4. He's one of those dark horses this season.
Yeah, I think he'll want to push on, won't he, from last season. As I'm just riding on board around Foxy Red, he's going to be the first guy on the soft tyre to set a time. He jumps up to third with 1:19.1, so not a good lap really, based on what the guys have done ahead of him on the hard tyre. So he'll not be happy with that. I assume he'll want to try and maybe improve on that time or come in for another set of tyres. But yeah, not so good there for Foxy Red. But yeah, as you were saying, Meg Luppy, he was very good. good in qualifying. Unfortunately, just like you say, in the race, different instances and pace and stuff just let him down at times. But he's got a new teammate this season, hasn't he? In the Warrislander. Warrislander, as we all know, in Invictus, he's a mighty fast racer here in Invictus. He's proving himself as well to be fast in this league. Pre-season, he was very unlucky to drop it down in the S's at Japan. But Meg and Warrislander, I think, will be a good partnership this season. And that McLaren team, I think, will go pretty well this season.
Yeah, I was talking to Warrislander before the race and finding out what he was thinking throughout pre-season and then equally moving up as F2 champion, if he felt any pressure. But he said it was good pressure and it's something that's going to drive him to really push towards the top end. And he was quite happy with how his pre-season had gone, and he realised he had the opportunity of fighting towards the front. So it's good to see the young Dutchman as Infinity. They're one of the new drivers, does an 18-1 on the hard tyres. Great lap there from the Renault, number 34. He puts himself up onto provisional pole with 11 minutes and 40 seconds left in the session. But yeah, Warrislander, it seems that pressure of coming in as F2 champion isn't hindering him, which for a driver at a young age is good. It's very admirable to see that they're not daunted by the prospect of coming into a league that's got some very, very quick drivers in.
I agree. Yeah, he's proven the champion he is. How well he finished off F2 last season, and he's so far taking, as Meg Luppy goes even faster, 1:18.143, just slightly ahead of Infinity, but point proven what we were just saying about Meg Luppy. His qualifying form so far, touch wood for him, is standing out at the minute, and that is a decent lap there on the hard tyres, albeit he has now done 3 laps on those hard tyres now.
Yep, and that is it's going to be a cause for concern for him if he can't get that next lap in. And we're on board here with FPL Charlie, of course, last season's now defunct no assist champion, and he is currently just finishing around the second sector, coming into the third. And Charlie didn't have a particularly great pre-season, had a better run in Japan in pre-season 2, had a dreadful first pre-season race, and he was equally saying he's looking forward to this season, but he's noticed that the field has got much stronger with the influx of these new F1 drivers, and we'll see what Charlie can do as Luke goes pole with a 18 flat on the medium tyres. What can Charlie do? On his first flying, he moves up into 5th position, sits just behind Speed Queen and ahead of Burmeister. So it's an okay lap for Charlie on the hard tyres currently. Luke up on pole, and the Dane currently under 18 flat, but only a tenth faster than Meg Luppy. He'll be looking at improving that time later in the session.
Warrislander has lost it. The Warrislander has lost it. I can't work out where he's lost it. It's just after turn 5 he's lost it. He was facing the wrong way after turn 5, and I don't know if he's got wing damage or not, but he's got going again, and unfortunately for Warrislander, that was on his first flying lap, and he's had to abort it. He was completely faced the wrong way there, and that's what brought out the yellow flags. I just wanted to ask you, with Charlie struggling in pre-season and his teammate, Boy Better Know, who, by the way, has gone pole at the moment while I was talking with 1:17.9 on the hard tyre super lap to say he's not done anything. Are Mercedes this season, would you say Mercedes are under pressure because they've not managed to get a solid pre-season in like they have done in the past?
Yeah, I think there's definitely, it's the first time I think we've seen these two kind of look at being slightly under threat. We noticed towards the end of last pre-season that Charlie had come in new and was particularly strong. We knew they were going to be a good pairing, but you look through the grid this year and there's a lot of talent there, and we know that the likes of Speed Queen, CPI Alex, who finished second in the championship last season, they will be well up there once again. And then you've got the likes of course, that team as Meg once again improves that time, a 17.7, as White Fountain goes wide into the exit of the second sector, going into the final sector. And we'll see what the Belgian can do. But yeah, it's going to be, as I was saying, that team between Sam and White Fountain, equally, we know that those two can be as a scruffy end to the lap for White Fountain. bouncing. Does it improve? It only is 11th there, so not great from the Belgian. But yeah, I think Scott and Charlie have really got to kind of watch out behind them compared to what we've seen last season. But currently, you've got Scott sitting in second, Charlie in sixth. So it's a good start for the pair. We know that both have done relatively well here in the past, and it's going to be one of those tracks that they might have to work together when it comes to team play, because it's very easy to get caught behind someone, and possibly if they are maybe even splitting a strategy or one running slightly longer than the other, you really don't want to get caught out, because it is one of those tracks where an undercut round here can really, really help you.
It can, yes. I was just reading a message from Foxy Red. Apparently, on that soft run, he says he was doing a few warm-up laps with no battery use and his fuel-on lean mix. So that probably explains why his soft run wasn't so special after all. Foxy Red currently sitting in 12th place. But as we sit right now, talking of the soft tyres, nobody is favouring that soft tyres. We've got another yellow flag. Is it just for a slow-running car? I think it is. Yeah, nobody favouring that soft tyre so far. So everybody looking at that alternate strategy, and Meg Luppy, as you say, has gone fastest again. Now has done 5 laps on those hard tyres. So he doesn't want to be doing any more laps on those tyres, because it's going to make it even harder for him in the race to look after them and go the distance on them.
No, absolutely not. And Simon puts himself up into 7th position. We're back on board with Charlie, who's going for another flying by the looks of it. And these guys favouring, as you said, this harder tyre. No one out on that Redwall soft. So, I mean, we made several wrong predictions about the weather conditions last season. So I wouldn't even dream to suggest that it's because we'll have a dry race, because it could be anything, as we know. But Charlie comes up to the final corner now. Can the Mercedes driver improve from 6th on the grid? It looks a better lap. Is it going to put him up towards the top end? It is. It's a front row currently for Charlie. 6 minutes left to go. He beats out his teammate by 0.03 of a second.
That's more like what we expect from the Mercedes guys, isn't it? I'm riding on board with John Pulline again. He's on another fastest lap now. He'll be hoping to get a lap nailed around here now. He's just in the middle sector at the moment. We've got a couple of yellow flags again. I assume it's for guys just letting people through as Sam of the Pitter comes back round. But yeah, John Pulline, who was absolutely mighty last week, surely we will be expecting him to go up near the very top or at the top. He's just coming now into the final sector now. What can John Pulline do? He's in that very obvious racing point. He's going to come up to the final corner now. He is sticking with it, so he's not going out as Burmeister with a 1:17.6 there on the medium tyres in his Ferrari. John Pulline is coming across now with his first flying lap. What does he do? He jumps straight up to second on the hard tyre with a 1:17.7. Wow.
That is quite the lap from the racing point, and that's really how you lay down a marker to the rest of the field. He's putting himself ahead of other guys on the mediums, and equally that's 17.7, only a tenth off of Burmeister, who's currently sitting in provisional pole on those medium tyres. Jump line, of course, on the hards. 4 minutes and 40 seconds left to go. It's about to get hot. We're about to see these cars head to the track and make that final run over the next few minutes, and it's one of those tracks that's very much up and down, side to side, like a roller coaster. It's a really, really twisty, turny sector, especially through sector 1 as you go up and down, climbing through the hill into the turn 4, around turn 5, and then that very slow chicane that will catch out those as Andrew Lockdock now is exiting the final corner on his line lap, runs out very wide. Does he maintain the lap? It's up into 9th, so it's a top 10 start currently for Adri. 4 minutes left to go. Can he get back into the pit lane and possibly fit a set of the mediums? Because as you can see, Sab, it looks like a lot of drivers are deciding to make that final run on this middle compounder tyre.
They are. I'm riding on board with Harry at the moment. Harry, he's down in 14th at the moment, Harry. And what a second half to the season he had in no assist last season. We've kind of, no disrespect to him, forgotten about him, haven't we, during this session so far, because he's so far down. He was absolutely superb last season. He's run very wide there. That might have invalidated his lap. I don't know. He was 7/10 up into the going into the first sector, into the second sector. He's 1.2 seconds up now. So I'm hoping for for his sake that he hasn't invalidated, because this should propel him right up the order here in the Williams. Does he stick at it, or does he dive straight back into the pit lane? He dives straight back into the pit lane, so he must have invalidated. So yeah, unfortunately at the moment, Harry, who we tipped as being one of the favourites this season for the Drivers' Championship, is stuck down in 14th place at the moment.
Yeah, not great for Harry, who of course took 2 race wins in his 5 races at the end of last season after joining us, and he'll currently, unless he can make a very quick in and out, is going to be starting well down the order. And with 18 cars on the grid, it's going to be a busy run down to turn 1 for these guys, and you do not want to get stuck in the middle of that pack. And of course, front wing damage around here will be absolutely disastrous with the nature of the high downforce. That it can really hinder. And we're just on board with Psycho down in 17th. He's currently on that 19.2, fractionally slower than Rasty's 17s, and we'll see if the Racing Point can emulate his teammate, as we've still got Burmeister sitting at the head of the field at 17.6. Jumper line is out on an outlap, but on the medium compound tyres. Now we've got a yellow in sector 1. A lot of yellows coming out, probably just for slow cars. Oh, Psycho goes wide there, bails out of that lap. And Sam, a 17 flat for the Spaniard. What a lap there for the Haas driver.
Wow. I was riding on board with Meg, because Meg is flying in his, but I don't think now Meg's going to pip that. We'll soon see. He's coming around the final corner now. Meg, now on the medium tyre, he's going to cross the line. He jumps up to second. It's a good lap there from Meg. It's 1:17.2, but I have to say at the moment, John Polainen has got to be the one to watch him in. He's out on that outlap a minute, but if he managed to do a 1:17.7 on the hard tyre, what on earth is he going to be able to do on a clean run on a set of mediums? This is going to be absolutely fascinating, this next minute and 10 seconds.
Foxy Red in the Alpha, struggling at the rear end of the field. He's going to go for a double lap by the looks of it, and it's 3.2 seconds slower. So Foxy, you need to get a shift on. You've got 1 minute and 3 seconds left to go in the session to get this lap done on those tyres. They're going to be a lap older, so can he get this done? It's going to be a crucial lap for the Alfa Romeo, and he comes into turn 2 now, and it's all about getting every single one of these apexes absolutely perfect. You do not want to run out wide on the exit of turn 4 and invalidate that lap. Does it very nicely. Now, can he keep it tight on the apex on turn 5, running out, using that curb to his advantage, slows it down into the chicane without locking up a brake? Very nicely done there indeed. And the centre helmet is Warris Lander, a 16.663 for the Dutchman. What a lap. We thought Sam's was fast. He's just gone 0.4 of a second faster, and they currently have a McLaren in first and third position. We're still on board with Foxy. Can he improve on this? Those tyres will not be enjoying it, so he's locked up ever so slightly there, that front left into the penultimate corner. Now he's into the final corner. Foxy Red 2000 comes around the final corner as time's expired on the session. What can he do? Improves from 16th up to the front row of the grid. It's a 15.7, immediately dropped by Jumper Linen there, moving up into second position. We've got the checkered flag out for Jumper Linen, Foxy Red, Sam, Burmeister, Luke K and Psycho. We've got CPI Alex now coming around the final corner on the middle tyre. Can he improve from 8th position? He doesn't, so he stays 8th. White Fountain is going 6.5 tenths faster in the Haas. He's coming up to sector 3 now. He's currently in 10th. What can he do? We always say he's got lightning in a bottle. He always pulls out a lap at the end of qualifying, does he? He puts himself up onto the second row of the grid. White Fountain, great lap there from the Haas driver, but with a few cars left out on track, including FPL Charlie, who's going just under half a second faster. It doesn't look like it's going to be enough to get him up, but it's going to get him towards the top 5 unless Charlie can really nail this last corner. What can he do? He runs out slightly wide onto the runoff area on the exit. Charlie goes up into 6th position. His teammate Scott down in 9th, not improving on that time, and that is qualifying over. What a lap from Warris Lander.
Wow. I was sat there shaking my head at that. I just could not believe what we were watching. I thought Sam, right, we said, had pulled out an absolute rabbit out of the hat there with that 17 flat, and then 4 more guys go quicker than him, and 3 of them are in the 116s. If that is what we've got to look forward to this season, I cannot wait to watch all these races this season. It's going to be absolutely fascinating because, yeah, we pointed out the Mercedes guys are could be under a bit of pressure. 6th and 9th, they're not going to be overly pleased with that. I think Boy Better Know probably be more pleased than Charlie, knowing that he's not had much practice. But yeah, what a lap that was from Morrislander.
Oh, so we're welcome back with sound at the end of that session. So luckily we got sound back on into our ears here. But yeah, and as you look, I was just looking at the final results there. Speed Queen and Meg Lugby split by 1,000th of a second there between 7th and 8th. So you can see just how close it is between 4th and 10th there. Only just over or just under 4/10 of a second splitting 4th to 10th. So that shows you how competitive it's going to be. But it is the Warrislander 1.5 tenths faster than Jumperlinen, and Jumperlinen will be looking at getting that move done early. But then you've got White Fountain, Foxy Red, Sam in 5th, with Charlie and Meg in 6th and 7th. Speed Queen and Scott are in 8th and 9th, and Burmeister rounds out the top 10. And it's yeah, what a lap from Morris. I'm still, relatively blown away from that. And that's a great way to introduce yourself to the league as a competitive way of starting. And yeah, if you're watching, guys, welcome to the stream. Hope you're enjoying it. Of course, my name is Gareth, and we're joined, as always, by Sab in the commentary box every Monday, 8 p.m. here on the YouTube channel. So make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. And equally, if you're watching the stream and you're enjoying it, make sure you press that like button. Helps us out with that pesky YouTube algorithm, pushes up through the recommendations. And yeah, all we can do to help ourselves grow and get bigger, of course, helps with just little bits like liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you're new to us. But Sab, I mean, we thought that Jumperlinen was going to be strong. We saw how strong he was last week in the pre-season race. But what were you expecting that from Warrislander? We knew that he did well, but I certainly wasn't expecting a 10th faster.
No, definitely not, because I'd kept an eye on Warrislander during that session, and like I pointed out, he had a spin as well after turn 5, and he seemed to be struggling, but more fool us, because we kind of brushed him off as thinking he may be middle of the pack after a tough start to qualifying, and he pulls that out of the bag. It was absolutely unbelievable. The F2 remaining F2 champion is come into the F1 League and told and shown everybody up and shown them how to do it. I cannot wait to see how this race starts. Let's hope we get a nice clean start down into turn 1 and we can focus on actual racing. Let's hope there's no tripping over. There's going to be 18 cars flying into turn 1, so it's going to be very compact going into that first turn.
Yeah, but it is nice clear skies above the track today, so no one's going to have to worry about any sort of slippery conditions going down towards turn 1, so that will help these drivers, as unfortunately we seem to have lost Rasty. Hopefully we'll get him in before the race starts, and we can see there guys readying up. The red light will soon go out and relieve us for the formation lap, which of course will be led around by the Warrislander in the McLaren alongside Jumperlinen in second, as those two lock out the front row. White Fountain and Foxy Red make up the second row of the grid, with Sam and Charlie re-engaging that fantastic rivalry we saw last season. Very testy at times between the two, so what can those two do down towards turn 1? Meg Lugby and Speed Queen round out round 4, with Boy Better Know, former champion in no assists, is in 9th position, with Burmeister in 10th. Good qualifying for Burmeister there. CPI Alex, he'll be the first driver outside of the top 10 with tyre choice. Of course, everyone outside of the top 10 will have the opportunity to use fresh tyres. So him, Simon, LER, Luke K, Infinity, Adri, Harry and Psycho all on fresh tyres, and then tell you what ones they are on exactly. And there you go, it is mediums for Alex, hards for Simon, mediums for Luke, hards for Infinity, and mediums for Adri, Harry, and Psycho. So no one, as we were hearing here from Foxy Red, who thought that no one would go onto the softs due to the overheating, deciding to go for that fastest compound. Are we looking at a particularly conservative race when it comes to tyre wear?
I would say so, based on that, yes, because it doesn't sound like those soft tyres are particularly welcoming to this track, are they? They seem to fall off the cliff even quite quickly. So, yeah, it looks like we're going to be getting some long runs tonight. It'd be fascinating to see how far into the race these medium runners can go, especially with a few of them already done a couple of laps on them. So, yeah, here we go. They're coming around the final corner now to line up in their grid slots. Boy, is this going to be a good race.
This is going to be a banger, a real mega one to start off the season here at the IRL F1 League. Round 1, the Hungarian Grand Prix. And we can see the cars peeling into their grid boxes. We are about to thunder down towards turn 1 and bring you the start of this absolutely electrifying season. The engine notes on the cars are rising. You can hear them bouncing off the limiters as we've got 2 lights, 3 lights, 4, 5, pause, and it's lights out, and here we go down towards turn 1. It's a good start for Warislander, who's managed to cover off the attack from the 2 Haas cars, and it's White Fountain who's made his way up into second. Back up he goes deep into turn 1. There's a little bit of contact between a couple of the cars behind, but looks like people have managed to get through pretty cleanly, but it is Warislander that leads us away through turn 1, followed by those 2 pesky Haas cars who have moved up into second and third. Great start from Sammy Pepito.
I'm not sure what quite happened to Meg Luppy there. He just seemed to outbrake himself, unfortunately. It's put him out of the race. It says he left the session. I don't know if he's actually left the race, but yeah, super start there for White Fountain and Sam. John Polainen, I was riding on board with him at the start and he just didn't get going. He bogged down the start and from there on he dropped back 4 places. So work to be done there for John Polainen. Scott as well has made a very good start to this race. He's jumped up 4 places. Scott's quite famous in no assists for getting good starts early on in the race, and he's currently hounding Foxy Red for 4th. But Scott has tagged Foxy Red, and surely that's unfortunately is lost Foxy Red the place there as John Polainen now goes past him as well. Boy better know, just slightly tagged us. Have we got an issue here? There's quite a few people leaving the race.
I believe that we may have a lobby reset here, and yeah, you can see we are going to have a lobby reset due to, we did obviously see Meg Lugby migrating earlier, and he is the session admin, yeah, so we have got a new invite for the lobby, so we will be moving. Unfortunately, that absolutely brilliant start from Scott will mean absolutely nothing, which I'm sure will frustrate the former champion. We will rejoin a new lobby and get underway very, very shortly, so bear with us for just a few moments and we will get reset back into a new session and have the custom grid set up, so the guys will maintain the position that they were in the session at the end of qualifying. So bear with us 2 seconds, guys. Unfortunately, it was a game error that has cost us due to one of the guys dropping out, so we will be with you very, very shortly. And Sab, although we will be doing that all over again, it's going to be. It was a great start from Scott. Is that a precursor to see what he can do off the line? Are we expecting to see the Mercedes do well? But equally, we saw the likes of the 2 Haas cars and overtake Jumpalainen with a dreadful start.
Yeah, for that day. Bogged down and it did not get going for him. Scott will be furious. I would be too. It's just one of those things, unfortunately, isn't it, when we have to do this. If it's always the same, isn't it? You get a good start and you feel like you're going well, and then you think it's too good to be true, and then it suddenly is too good to be true. But it was I would say clumsy more than anything there with Foxy Red. He was never malicious. He saw the door slightly open and Foxy Red turned in and he just caught his right rear tyre and didn't spin Foxy Red, but it was enough to put him off and unfortunately lose him a place. But for Foxy, it doesn't all matter. It doesn't matter at all, does it? So he can reset and start again. So unfortunately, like you say, we do have to restart. But hopefully we'll have such a good start second time around, and we can see what these guys can do when the lobby is running much smoother.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Warislander, who had a mighty getaway from the pole, he's going to have to do it all over again. So nerves will be reset, and he'll be sitting there once again with that foot just hovering above that throttle pedal, ready to release it into first gear. So yeah, the young Dutchman, once again, he's going to have to do it all over again. Just get back into that race mindset, and we'll do the formation lap following around, and just getting the tire temperatures back up into that working temperature. And it's gonna be it's just a way to start the season. Just jangle everyone's nerves just ever so slightly, get them ready for the next 11 rounds after this one. And I mean, it gives us some downtime just to quickly go through the teams. And one thing we didn't get to do before we started the season, of course, before we started the session, sorry. And in the Mercedes AMG Petronas team will be the former no assists constructors champions, and that is FPL Charlie, last season's no assist champion, and the season before that's champion Boy Ben No SB. They will be partnering up once again in the Mercedes team. The Scuderia Ferrari team will be Burmeister and LER Luke K707. In the Haas F1 team will be that, of course, strong pairing of Sammy Pepito and White Fountain. Renault F1 will be the new driver of Infinity 846 and Adri Lockdock, of course, best result of 4th last season in Bahrain. The Sport Pacer Racing Point F1 team is that of Ex-Psycho and Jumper Line, and 2 brand new drivers to the league. In the McLaren will be, of course, the pole sitter Warislander and Meg Lugby. They both have done very nicely indeed. Warislander, fantastic pre-season, and of course putting himself on pole this evening. Meg Lugby getting faster and faster. You could see him in the qualifying session, setting a couple of provisional pole times there. So watch out for him in the race if he can keep it on the black stuff. The Aston Martin Red Bull Racing team will be that of Simon 118 and PTRL Kelvin. Alfa Romeo Racing is Rasty 17 and Foxy Red 2000. Rocket Williams Racing is that of Harry BR 25 and El Norris 17. And finally, the Toro Rosso team is that of, after moving from the Ferrari, it will be the same pairing of Speed Queen 83-time champion here at Invictus and CPI Alex, who once again will be sitting alongside her in the same team under her stewardship and her mentorship. And for Alex, who was impressive towards the end of last season, we saw him have a couple of good races, especially in Austria in the opening race last season. He's in a good place with Speed Queen. She's back up to somewhat the pace that we expected of her after an off season last season due to getting up to speed with a new wheel.
Yeah, I do like that team of Speed Queen and Alex. They are a good partnership. They were very close together a lot of the time in qualifying last year in that Ferrari. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to watching them race this year. Speed Queen, like you say, seems to be getting back to what we know she can do. She's got one hell of a challenge on this season. Now there's even more faster people in this league. But for me, I have to point at the Haas team is, for me, my favourite so far going into this season. And it's tough to say that, but with White Fountain and Sam as teammates, it's one hell of a team. That there's multiple race wins there, multiple podiums there, multiple pole positions. They've got a lot there going for them. Yes, you definitely cannot rule out the Mercedes team. You can't rule out many teams in this league, but that Haas team looks very strong, and that small preview we just had then kind of proved how strong they look. So they'll be looking for a similar strong start again tonight, and I wouldn't put it past them to win the Constructors at the end of the year if they keep it clean and run as well as we know they can.
Yeah, absolutely. As the guys are resetting, ready to go back to the track, and hopefully we'll have a better restart this time. And yeah, welcome everyone to the stream. If you've just joined us, and equally if you just pressed that subscribe button, thank you very much. Great to have you along. Hopefully we can provide you with some absolutely exquisite racing over the next 3 or 4 months or so. The season will be running all the way through to mid-February, due to of course, the Christmas break in late December. So the final race will be that on 17th of February 2020. And for those that are just joining us before we go to the race, yeah, the calendar for this season: round 1, the Hungarian Grand Prix, as we are at this evening. Round 2 next week will be the German Grand Prix at the Hockenheimring. Round 3 on the 2nd of December will be the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Round 4 will take us to the Sochi Autodrome for the Russian Grand Prix. Round 5 will be the 16th of December and the last race of the first half of the season. And that will be the United States Grand Prix at the Circuit of the Americas in Texas. The Christmas break will take us through to the 6th of January in the new year, where we will have the Azerbaijani Grand Prix at Baku. The round 7, the 13th of January, takes us to the Bahrain International Circuit in Sakir. And round 8, the 20th of January, put that one down on your calendar, it's the Monza NZ Circuit for the Italian Grand Prix, always a fan favourite. Round 9, Singapore, we head to Marina Bay on the 27th of January. Round 10, the 3rd of February, we go to the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg for the Austrian Grand Prix. Round 11, the 10th of February, the Brazilian Grand Prix. Hopefully it's as explosive as we saw yesterday afternoon. And round 12, it will be finishing off at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City. And Sab, as we wait for these guys to ready up once again, it's a pretty exciting and mouth-watering calendar. Are there any particular races you're looking forward to of these guys?
I particularly like Brazil. Brazil, I've always enjoyed racing around. I also enjoy racing around Italy and Silverstone again. I love tracks like that. I'm not so keen, I'll be honest, on the likes of Mexico and Singapore. They are very challenging, probably too challenging for me. My skill levels are not up to these guys' levels, that's for sure. But when it comes to racing in this league, these guys, they've got a good mixture of different tracks here to test themselves on. Street circuits, Mexico with that long straight, Brazil, as we know, like you pointed out, can have some excellent races as well. So we've got a real treat with this calendar this year, with this league as well. We keep banging this drum, don't we? That we reckon this is going to be one hell of a season. And I think with this calendar, with these drivers, and the way this is all set out, I just have to say it again. It's going to be so fascinating to watch each race as we go along. We just got a little preview there, and hopefully at any moment now we'll get the full hog, and we'll be able to get going once again. And we, touch wood, have no issues. But yeah, do you have any particular circuits you're looking forward to watching these guys on this season?
I think it'll be interesting when we go back to some circuits that maybe we haven't seen so recently on the calendar, the likes of Sochi Autodrome. But yes, it is a little bit of a car park, but it's not tended to be on the calendar. And then equally, the guys driving around Baku City Circuit for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, of course, that one car only blast through the castle section. That's going to be a really sort of an eye-opening awakening from coming back from the Christmas break on the 6th of January. So hopefully the guys will be, have not have gorged too much on those mince pies over Christmas. They can squeeze back into that cockpit and be ready for the season to kick off. Because to go from the Azerbaijan Grand Prix at the start of the second half of the season, it's that's definitely one to watch. But then equally, you can't really miss the likes of, I mean, we've had some absolutely electric races around the likes of Red Bull Ring in the Austrian Grand Prix. So many close races there. Of course, you do get stuck in that DRS train ever so slightly. So it's gonna be really fun to see what these guys can do. And as we said in qualifying and before the session started, there's just so many drivers that you can see heading up for a podium, and I don't think there's really anyone here that we're not expecting to be competitive. And I think it's definitely, with the amalgamation of the Monday night no assist league and the Wednesday night equal performance F1 league, it's really upped that talent level here. And then equally, I think the drivers drivers here are equally as hungry, because you can see just how much they're going to have to perform. You've got the F2 champion currently in his first race in the regular season, who's currently leading the field around on the formation lap. So it shows just how stacked this grid is going to, and well, for how they're going to have to perform for the rest of the season if they're to kind of take the championship come round 12.
Definitely, and you just can't take your foot off the gas, can you, so to speak? Because if you have a few off races, you could find yourself way down the order in the championship. It's going to be that tight. I honestly think it's going to probably go down to the final race of the season, because we're going to probably have multiple race winners and multiple varieties of podiums as well. It's going to be absolutely fascinating. So here we go again. Part 2 of the Hungarian Grand Prix. They are lining back up on the grid. Let's see if we can have no issues this time and get away. John Polainen, like I say, will be thanking his lucky stars that he did get this restart. He'll be hoping to get away better this time, and Warrislander equally will be hoping for just as good a start as he just managed then. So yeah, there's a lot of pressure on these guys at the front, because some made good starts, some didn't. So here we go.
Here you go, as you say, part 2 of round 1. We've got green flags at the back, ready to go for the session. We've got 1 light, 2 light, 3 light, 4, 5. Stop, pause, out, go. Now let's see who can get a good start. Once again, it looks like Warrislander has got the jump on Jumperliner, but Jumperliner's coming back and down the inside. He's got the inside line into turn 1. Warrislander is going to pull out wide and sweep in. Is there contact between the two? Looks like they've kept it clean, and the Dutchman is going to hold the inside line going down towards turn 2 there. Behind, it's a top 4 breakaway straight away. There must have been a little bit of a mix up there between the top 5, because the top 4 have already broken away by almost a second. Samuel Pepito up once again into 4th, but look at that once again, as you've got a whole gaggle of cars. You've got Rasty moving up 8 positions. Scott, another lightning start, 9th up to 5th.
You just can't rule out Scott, can you? He didn't let that lobby restart affect him, and once again he's doing exactly what we have come to expect from him in that Mercedes. He'll be wanting to keep on the tail of Sam, who's not too far ahead of him in 4th place, and you wouldn't be able to rule Scott out for a podium at the moment. But a much better start for Foxy Red after a tough start, and a much better start for John Polainen in that first run. So Warrislander is going to find it tough now, because he knows that the likes of John Polainen, who is mighty quick, if he keeps on his tail under that second, that DRS will be catching up with him soon, and suddenly it's game on then.
Warrislander has got a 7.5 gap between himself and Jumperline, for the lead of the race at the moment. Sam Pepito half a second behind Foxy Red in 3rd position, as FPL Charlie pits from final position on the track at the moment in 18th, and himself and White Fountain both must have come into contact. Both of them have dropped right down. Fountain down in 17th position, and that is a couple of people in the comments that have put in saying White Fountain was the tip for the win this evening, and that's really put the cats amongst the pigeons for them, as we've got a yellow in sector 2, and who have we got dropping down? It's Speed Queen dropping down through the field. What's happened to Speed Queen?
She's been disqualified, unfortunately, because she was trying to turn the car around, and it's disqualified her from us. I only caught the onboard, and she was facing the wrong way of the circuit, and unfortunately she was trying to spin the car around, and she was waiting for all the cars to come past, and if she's pulled forward to turn it around, it's disqualified her. So that is desperately unlucky for Speed Queen. We were fully expected to be challenging in those points scoring positions, and it's an early bath for Speed Queen, I'm afraid.
Yeah, really unfortunate session for Speed Queen. She'd looked pretty decent in qualifying. Unfortunately, that is the worst way you want to start your season, as Jumperliner does the fastest lap of the race. DRS is now enabled. We've got Rasty behind Burmeister down towards turn 1. Can the Italian go down the inside of the Dutchman? There's going to be slight contact between the two, and that's going to give Harry the outside line going down towards turn 2. Can he get a sweeping move round the outside of the Alfa Romeo, who's then going to get the inside line into turn 3? and Harry up into 8th position. Rasti's going to try and come back at him. This is going to be oh, there we go. Looks like he's felled in. It's a pretty tasty move if anyone goes for that overtake around turn 4. But it's a good move there from Harry, who made up for Rasti and Burmeister just about coming into contact and maybe just edging Rasti off of that sort of edge of grip.
We're getting a little split now at the front end of the race so far. John Pine and Warrislander have managed to slightly break away from Foxy Red. Foxy Red is just over a second behind John Pine now, and Foxy Red starting to form a little train of his own at the moment. He's got Sam and Scott under a second behind him, so Foxy Red's going to have to just keep an eye on his wing mirrors at the moment, because Sam will have DRS on him. He probably won't get the move done now because Sam is about 6-7 tenths behind, so he will be able to close in on that Alfa Romeo, not get the move done yet, but Foxy Red will be starting to feel the pressure in the next few laps if he doesn't get within the DRS zone of John Pine and John Pine and Warrislander. But at the moment, Warrislander is holding firm in first place, 4 tenths to John Pine.
You couldn't have got a cigarette paper between the rear diffuser of the McLaren and the front wing of Jumpalainen going down into turn 1. They were absolutely nose to tail going through turn 1. Jumpalainen is now right on the tail of the leader, Warrislander. And we saw last week that Jumpalainen didn't have the greatest starts. He did start on the pole and got away, but the first few laps it took him a while to get those tyres up to working temperature, and but then after that happened, he just stretched that lead out and it stayed a comfortable distance away. But he's going to have to work for this one, because Warrislander's certainly not going to make it easy for him, as we've got Infinity moving up past Luke for 12th and 13th at the moment. In fact, Luke then being passed by Psycho, who's made a good start up in 13th position, but we've still got Fountain down in 16th. He's currently coming right up behind Andrew Lockdock. We'll stay on board with Jumpalainen and see if he can close in with DRS down towards turn 1. It looks like it's going to be just out of range. Can any of the top 5 get closer to each other? Doesn't look like it. So we'll go in and we'll check in with White Fountain as he closes up behind Andrew Lockdock in the Renault, and he's got a whole gaggle of cars in front of him. Can the Belgian send it down the inside and make up for the lost time that he seemed to have in the first lap? He goes up, down the inside of Adri. Adri fights back, and of course he is on the hard tyres compared to White Fountain on the medium, so Fountain's going to have the tyre advantage with grip, but not with tyre life. Can he stick it around the outside, up into turn 3? White Fountain up into 15th position. Now he's got to track down the likes of Luke, Psycho and Infinity, who are just up the road.
Got a nice little battle for 9th place at the moment. Burmeister got the job done on Simon down into turn 1, heading down to turn 2. Simon close by, with CPI Alex being pulled along for good measure as well. So there's a good little battle here for 9th place. They're running pretty closely, and as we look through the order, there's good battles throughout the whole of the field so far for all different positions. So yeah, Burmeister having a decent race so far in his Ferrari. I just wanted to point out as well, the reason why Luke dropped down a couple of places earlier on was he was having a good fight with Infinity, and they just got side by side, and Luke ran out of road, basically had to run wide, and unfortunately Psycho saw the door wide open and took that place. So that's how Luke lost a few places earlier on.
We've got a Haas versus Mercedes. Where have we seen that before here at Invictus? And this time it is Scott challenging with Sam, and we know that these two, the Mercedes and the Haas boys, they've had their issues in the past, and Sam is not going to make it easy for the forming champion and no assist to get past, and in fact he's going to fight it out over 4th and 5th, and Scott really trying to get that move done into the outside, but the door was firmly shut by Sam, who's maintaining 4th position. You can see there Harry moving up 9 positions, Rasti moving up 9 positions. We've had Psycho and Luke swapping positions there for 13th and 14th position. The lead still 6/10 of a second between Warrislander and Jumpalainen, and Warrislander doing a very nice job so far, 6 laps in, to hold off the fast Racing Point behind.
He is, and if you notice, those guys are starting to stretch that gap as well as the Foxy Red. 1.7 seconds now. So, yeah, those two having their own little battle. Warislander doing well. Just further down as well with the ninth place fight I was just pointing out. Simon and Burmeister were teasing me ever so slightly. They were going to go side by side into turn 4, and I thought, surely not. This is going to end up in tears. But unfortunately, Burmeister just pulled out of it and allowed Simon to go through and take first place. But Burmeister under massive pressure now from CPI Alex going down into turn 1. CPI Alex getting the move done, but it does lock up and goes deep, and Burmeister retakes that position. So it's a good ding-dong battle going off for ninth place at the minute. Burmeister lucky really that CPI Alex went in deep there and allowed him to come back through, but at the moment Simon is winning that little battle, but yeah, that's one to definitely keep an eye on.
Scott, boy better know OSB, is trying to pull out all the tricks to get past Sam with Pepito for 4th position. He tried the double switchback on the DRS straight towards turn 1. Sam was wise to it, covered it off, and I imagine that Scott frantically pressed on that brake pedal so that he didn't collect the rear end of the Haas. He's doing all he can to get past, but Sam making that Haas 40 feet wide. It takes up the entire track surface if you're sitting in the cockpit of that Mercedes car, and he's going to have to try once again. He seems to have the pace on Sam ahead, but he just can't quite get the move done. Scott, of course, having made up a fantastic amount of positions at the start of the race, he's going to have DRS once again. He looks a lot closer. Can he get the inside line? He's been looking for the inside line, but there you can see Sam covering off. Scott's taking to the corner. He picks up a 3-second penalty for his trouble trying it as he tried to take the inside line, and unfortunately that's an early penalty for Scott. We're only 8 laps into 35, and that's been a bit of a hallmark of Scott recently. He's been picking up sort of unnecessary penalties, and that's 3, of course, track extending warnings he's had already, as Fountain moves up past Psycho for 14th and 15th position. And we'll check back in with this battle between Simon Burmeister and CPI Alex that I'm sure you've been keeping your eyes on, Sab. And Simon doing a nice job at the moment, holding the 2 off on the hard tyres with the 2 behind on the mediums.
He is, yes, and if you watched us last season, Simon was mighty fast. CP Alex I thought he was trying to move on Burmeister down the inside there, but Simon, he was super fast in qualifying, and then he come to race, similar to Meg Luppy, he come to race and unfortunately come a cropper to several instances or just lack of pace. But Simon at the moment is going nicely in that Red Bull on the hard tyre, like you say. He's holding off these 2 behind quite well. I just wanted to point out as well how good a race so far Harry's having at the minute. He's jumped up 10 places into 6th place at the moment. He's running also on the medium tyre. He's just over 4 seconds behind Scott, so he's running nicely in that Williams, Harry. He's all on his own at the minute because he's got Meg Luppy about 2 seconds behind, so he just needs to focus in and get to focusing on Scott. Scott has got the move done. I'll pass it over to you.
Oh, I'm trying to keep my eyes on 3 battles at the same time. Sorry for flicking through the screens there, guys. We had the battle for the lead, was Jumper Line and almost catching Warislander down the straight. Then we've got Scott still absolutely smothering the rear end of that Haas in silver paint. He's looking to the inside of turn 5, looking for any opportunity to get down the inside, and once again Sam closes the door on him, and it's going to be once again these two are going to have to go at each other. We've got 9 laps of 35 done for these guys, and Scott really trying all he can to get past Sam holding him off. We had a fight between the leaders with Warislander just about holding off Jumper Line, and in fact we'll go on board with the pair. Jumper Line sitting right in the toe of the McLaren as we come round the final corner now. This is the closest he's been in a number of laps coming into the final corner. Of course, tyre life will slowly starting to be scrubbed off now, but here we go, Jumper Line, and he's well within reach now. He's going to have to go to the outside line to get it done. DRS is open. He's going to swing to the outside. Warislander covers the inside line, but it does mean the Racing Point is going to have the inside line for the next corner. It looks as though the Racing Point has got the move done, and he does, and Warislander peels into the slipstream going into turn 2. Nothing you can do about it. Jumper Line and moves up into your effective race lead.
What a battle we're having now. So basically ninth down to 14th. There's really not much in it. Going down that start-finish straight, they're all in one camera shot. White Fountain has just got the move done on Luke. Great battle there. They were side by side for most of the second half of the lap as Meg Luppy picks up a 3-second time penalty. White Fountain eventually getting the move done and getting it stuck. As we see in the background, Andrew Lockdock and Psycho are battling there, and Psycho gets the move done there. But yeah, there's a super battle here, and they're all battling for Zyman's 9th place now. They're all in his 5 cars all in one shot here. Zyman 5 seconds behind Rusty, so Zyman now is performing one hell of a training. If he can keep all these guys behind him, he's going to do one hell of a job.
It's nicely done so far for Zymers. We've got this battle between White Fountain now looking to the inside of Infinity, going in towards turn 12. Can he get the inside line? He does, but Infinity's going to have the inside line for the next corner. Can he maintain it? Looks like Fountain is just about going to get it. In fact, you've got Luke trying to sneakily go around the outside and make it into the inside, but he's not going to do it. Infinity's going to have to rely on the DRS, but there you go. Luke, in fact, going... Whoa! As careful as you like around the inside line, watching out for that Armco barrier on the inside line. He's got the inside and DRS going down, but he's not, in fact, he's not quite quick enough. So there must be a slightly slipperier setup on that Renault as Infinity drags him down to turn 1. In fact, we missed last lap as well, forgot to say, sorry about that guys, that Scott did finally manage to get past Sam for 4th and 5th positions. So those two have swapped over, but you can see the gap is still 0.3 of a second between them. So the battle between them is still going on. And we've currently had 11 laps of 35. The only one to make a stop is FPL Charlie, who is down in 17th position. Unfortunately, we lost Speed Queen due to a DSQ. Seems like she was having an issue, and unfortunately, she's left us early. I'm sure we'll come back much stronger next week. And we've got this battle now between CPI Alex. He's only half a second between himself and Burmeister, the Ferrari head. And we'll just check in with the race leaders. 0.4, 0.3 of a second. Warrislander on jumper line and not quite close enough. But Sab, Warrislander, he's currently sitting in second position, did start on the pole. He has dropped down, which of course he won't be happy with, but coming in as an F2 champion, he's got to be delighted with how he's been in this first stint, and it's really, it must be pleasing for him that he's really kind of moved up from F2 and he's immediately competitive into F1.
Oh, most definitely. Like you say, he won't be happy that he's lost the place. But I think he would have taken a top 3 finish at the end of tonight. And at the minute, he's sitting quite comfortably. Foxy Red is 3.5, 3.6 seconds behind, so he's not got to worry about that. Just only has to focus on jumper line and that racing point ahead. But yeah, he's done superb tonight. He's just got to keep his cool like we know he can, and he could still be in a chat of winning this race. I just wanted to point out as well this mega battle between Scott and Sam. What it is doing now, it is bringing Harry along at a rate of knots. Harry is now down to 2.3 seconds. It was around 4 seconds. It's down to 2.3 seconds. So at the moment, while these two are squabbling and swapping places and battling and defending hard, it's only bringing Harry closer and closer. So we could end up having a 3-way battle for 4th place.
Yeah, and it is, of course, letting the likes of Foxy Red get away as Sam has a look to the inside of the Mercedes going down to turn 1. Scott is much wiser than that and doesn't allow the Haas to even have a sniff of the inside line and closes the door, and Sam's going to have to stick with him once again. But we've had a couple of penalties flash up as Infinity, the first one into the pit lane out of the guys that have done a considerable amount of laps, and he drops down, but Infinity's going on to a new set of tyres. It's onto a fresh set of softs. So a 2-stop strategy for Infinity down there at the moment. So he's going to be mighty quick over the next few laps as Charlie moves up past Andrew Lockdock. So he's got both Renaults behind him now. He's going to start trailing charging down after Psycho, who's 7.5 seconds up the road. But yeah, you can see Foxy Red at the moment just kind of driving around on a race on his own. He's got 4.2 seconds, there we go, I can speak correctly, between himself and Warrislander. And then equally, Scott's 3 seconds behind. So Foxy, it's been a quite tidy race for the Alpha.
Yeah, definitely, and I think similar to Warrislander, if he could come away with a podium tonight, I think he'd be absolutely delighted, especially with the guys that's behind him. I just wanted to point out as well, my little battle what I've been focusing on tonight, the 9th place battle. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3, and unfortunately Lucas lost it towards the end of the lap there in the Ferrari. But yeah, White Fountain has managed to get the move done on Burmeister. White Fountain now up to 10th place, and he's slowly reeling in Simon. Simon on just 0.8 of a second ahead of White Fountain. So you'd imagine that Haas car on those medium tyres will, once he gets within striking distance, will probably make easy work of him, as Burmeister and CP Alex once again are swapping places in 11th and 12th. So plenty of action happening there, as well as the front of the grid so far.
I think it's a little bit of deja vu for Alex and Burmeister, as he sends it down the inside, goes deep, and that allows Burmeister back up, does the undercut into 11th position once again, as Alex just about keeps the back end straight there. So he got slightly out onto the rumble strips, unbalanced the back end of the car, but he's having to stick with 12th position. We've still got the gap between Warrislander and Jumpline under a second. We've still got a gap between Scott and Sam under a second, but now we've got White Fountain in 10th position, closing in on Simon for 9th place at the moment. Fountain, as you said, working through as Adri picks up 3 seconds, and we've had penalties move up for Rasty, and I believe Infinity picked up 3 seconds a few laps prior, as well as Sam pits from 5th position. So is this the undercut attempt for the Spaniard in the Haas? Is he trying to call the hand of the Mercedes to come in next lap and cover off that undercut?
You'd imagine he's trying to go for the undercut, as I'm just riding on board now with White Fountain, and White Fountain does get that move done on Simon, like I predicted. Nicely done there from White Fountain into turn 1, no lock-up, not running deep. Simon tried to come back at him, but not really getting the move done, and now White Fountain moves up into 7th place due to the pit stop sort of just happened. So yeah, White Fountain starting to get back into this race, but still work to be done for him.
You can see here the gaps to the leader currently. Jumpliner and Warrislander 5.5 seconds ahead of Foxy Red, so they're starting to drop the Alfa Romeo, and around here a pit stop will cost you anywhere between 20 and 25 seconds. So you can see the likes of them will be coming out towards 7th position, where White Fountain is currently occupying. In fact, Warrislander does come in, Foxy Red and Scott does cover in to cover off any potential undercut from some Sam. So we'll see now Sam as Harry picks up 5 seconds speeding in the pit lane. That's a killer, isn't it, for your race when you pick up that 5-second penalty? But we'll see, can Sam jump Scott utilising this? He's got DRS down the main straight. Is he going to manage to get out ahead of Scott? Scott's coming out the pit lane now. It's going to be mighty close between the two of them, and it looks like they're going to go side by side into turn 1. They contact, this slight contact between the two. Sam having to take to the runoff area. They're still side by side. Wow, what an undercut that would be if Sam can get it sent down the inside. He's going to try and throw it down there. Scott is going to hold him off as much as he can, but Sam just hold him off, and of course those tyres are up to temperature. But now they've got Simon ahead of them. Simon of course hasn't stopped on the hard tyres, so he's going to be much slower than these two behind, and you can see there Scott almost pushing the Haas around the corner, and you can see they're going to be desperate to get past the Red Bull, which will almost be a rolling roadblock for these two.
Yeah, and he doesn't have to move either, does he, Simon? There's no blue flags here. He's got no obligation to get out of the way. He's racing his own race, and this must be infuriating Sam. Scott and Sam trading paint earlier. Sam once again runs very wide there. Does Sam get the move done? No, Simon shuts the doors. Sam, I imagine, would be absolutely spitting feathers right now. They've touched. Oh no, Scott has pumped him into the car. Oh dear, you'd have to say that was probably Scott's fault from what I could see, and unfortunately Sam has lost that big time there. He's managed to get going again, but that has dropped him now down to 9th place. Was that something that was inevitable between them two? It seems so.
They were very, very close all race long. So unfortunate to see contact between the two. Warrislander just just missed out on the undercut overtake on Jumpline. They came out, as Sam and Scott did, absolute neck and neck into turn one. Jumpline just about holding him off. Warrislander's going to try and send it down the inside into the chicane. That would be a brave overtake if he could get that one done. But of course, Warrislander's had this one lap advantage to get those hard tyres up to temperature. So he's got to make this this advantage count heading around the final few corners towards DRS. He's got to stick with Jumpline. He's the only car at the moment that can make a dent on the racing point, because Foxy Red 5.2 seconds behind. He equally came in and made that stop. So we've got Harry half a second behind Simon in 6th position at the moment. But yeah, Jumpline, he's just about 6/10. That's, you'd say that's just about enough between himself and Warrislander. DRS wide open for the McLaren heading down towards turn one, but it does look like it's just going to be out of reach. Frustrating for Warrislander. He almost got that strategy to work.
Nearly, very, very nearly. There's a lot of nearlies, isn't there, tonight, as CPI Alex, the sole running Toro Rosso, finally gives up on those medium tyres and comes into the pit lane, as well as Psycho in the racing point. Simon's still out there on those hard tyres. You've got to remember, he started on the hard tyres, so expect Simon, if he can keep that strategy going.
Sab, we've got a VSC, sort of just jump in there.
Nope, that's fine.
We've just been put under virtual safety car there. Of course, Infinity unfortunately retired a few laps ago, so I don't believe it's him. We did have a yellow in Sector 2 and Sector 3, and there it goes. VSC is almost immediately put back to green, but we've still got a yellow in Sector 3, so not sure if it's something to do with one of the guys towards the back. But yeah, now we've got a yellow in Sector 1, so it's whether we're having a slight issue with the electrics on the track with the yellows being put out from the box. But yeah, a very, very quick VSC is now put back, as we've got Burmeister retiring from 15th position. So perhaps it was him that had caused that virtual safety car. We've still got that yellow in Sector 1 and Sector 2, and you'd look around now, and if a safety car did come out, it would probably help the likes of Simon, who is just about coming into the pit lane now. So he probably hoped that VSC lasted a little bit longer than it did. And we're on board here with Warrislander, who's 0.2 of a second behind Jumpline. And there's still a fantastic battle going on between White Fountain and Agilokdok in 11th and 12th position. Simon is going to come out just outside of the top 10, but of course he's on that alternate strategy, so he'll be fast at the end of the race. We're on lap 19 of 35. We are over halfway distance, and Sab, this battle between the top two, they've been split by around half a second for the last 19 laps of the race, and you can't take your eyes away from it, can you?
No, you can't, and it just shows the concentration of these guys, because none of them have really, from what I've seen, have made any mistakes really, and they've just stayed within touching distance of each other. It's going to be a case of who dares wins at the end, I think, and who dare make a move, a brave move, or if someone makes a mistake, as Jumpline does make a mistake. Jumpline has made a mistake on the final corner, and he's run very wide, and that has opened the door for Warrislander. Warrislander should have DRS now. He does have DRS now. Warrislander, this should be easy pickings for him into turn one. It is easy pickings for him, and just as I was saying, it requires a mistake, as Jumpline is not giving up on it yet. He's going to try around the outside, but surely Warrislander will have him covered off. He does. And I was just about to say, requires a mistake, and I don't know what happened to Jumpline there, but he ran incredibly wide on that final corner, and he just couldn't get the car back to grips again. And then Warrislander was definitely not saying no to that invitation, and took that with ease in the end with the DRS.
And we've got a yellow in Sector 2 and 3 at the moment. We've just lost, unfortunately, Luke Kay from the race. That makes it 2 Ferrari retirements in the matter of moments. Where have we seen that before? And there you've got Warrislander, who did make the move ahead. He's now stretched that lead to 0.6 of a second, so maybe enjoying this harder tyre more than Jumpalainen. And it's going to be, well, it's fascinating as to see if Warrislander can get further up towards the top end of the order and stretch that lead over Jumpalainen. So it's going to be a really interesting final 15 laps of the race, and we've currently got a battle going on between Rasti and Meg Lugby, and the battle now going on for 8th and 7th position between the Alfa Romeo and the McLaren, the sister McLaren, of course, of the race leader. And Warrislander, 0.3 of a second, he managed to hold off Jumper Line and down that final stretch, and these two still going at each other. We've got another 14.5 laps left to go. Charlie is in from 10th position, of course, pitted on lap 1 due to damage to the front wing, so that's going to drop him to the rear end of the field once again. But we'll see if he can possibly... It'll be hard for him to get back inside the top 10. You'd like to think that he's probably going to be way down the order, so it's going to be a struggle for last season's no assist champion. And but this battle's still going on at the leads, and we've got Rasti and Meg still going at each other. So in fact, we'll just check in with those two, and we'll leave the lead battle for a fraction of a second. And it'll probably happen as we'll leave, and something incredible will happen towards the front end as life goes. But we're on board here with Meg Lugby as he's defending from Rasti. Rasti, of course, on the medium tyre. And Meg having a relatively consistent race. He'll be disappointed he's not further up, but he'll be holding down a dual points finish for McLaren, which will be real positive for them in the constructors. Yeah,
definitely. And I think as Meg has just locked up there. I think Meg. He'll be disappointed he's not further, but I think surely after the struggles of last season, he just wants to target scoring points, I think, and then focus on going further forward as Rasti is eyeing up a move now to steal that 7th place from Meg. Defending, going inside, is going to force Rasti around the outside. Meg is not going to make this easy for him. Rasti is going to get DRS again down here into turn 2. Meg Lugby, though, defended well there. Oh, as Rasti tries to dive up the inside there. Very late dive there. Meg's not having any of it, though, and shuts the door nicely. Good defending there from Meg, and Rasti will have to try again up with that one. But yeah, Meg, he's doing all right at the minute. You'll see that his teammate is leading, but as long as he scores points and gets that consistency back, I think he should overall be happy with how his race is going so far.
Simon and CPI Alex battling it out over 11th and 12th position at the moment. Of course, Simon on the fresher medium tyres and Alex on the harder tyres, so Simon will have that advantage after starting on the hard tyres. So we'll see if he can make the most of it over the next few laps and get back past Alex. And these two seem to have been embroiled in a battle for the majority of the race, as Alex has really been a bit of a bottleneck between a number of drivers, but he's back in 11th position, and you'd imagine that with Adrian Lockdoor, because we've got Jumper Line, we'll quickly jump off. I said that we'd leave the battle for a minute, and we've missed the change for the lead, so I do apologise for that, guys, but it's Jumper Line and back up into the lead of the race as Rasti and Meg Lugby also swap positions, so I cannot catch everything that's happening on trackers. Oh, as you see, Warrislander really trying to put his nose where it probably shouldn't belong there, as he's probably frustrated he's missed out on that lead position once again, as Scott picks up a second, 3 seconds there, so that's going to drop him back, as that's 6 seconds of penalties now, as Charlie does the fastest lap of the race at 19.3, and once again we're back to as Rasti picks up another 3 seconds as well, so I believe that makes 6 seconds for him. But Warrislander, it's going to be frustration for the young Dutchman, isn't it? And this is where you don't want to let it boil over. He's lost the lead now twice after regaining it. He just needs to, get your head back down, just get back into the rhythm, chase down Jumper Line, and once again try and get that move done into turn 1.
Exactly, yeah. You can't allow your emotions to get involved there. I know that's Rich talking coming from me, but Warrislander, yeah. He was thinking about a little dive there, but not to this time. But he's still done very, very well tonight, and even if he does finish second tonight, I'm sure it's good momentum and good basis to build on, isn't it, for this season coming into this new league. So. Yeah, it will be frustrating, but overall I can't imagine he'd be too disheartened if he did finish second place. I just want to say as well, with Sam down in 6th place, that's 6 seconds worth of penalties for Boy Better Know. I don't believe Sam has a penalty, so at the moment, based on penalties, Sam will actually get back ahead of Scott through penalties. So as long as he stays within touching distance of Scott, he should retake that position off him, which would be some sort of redemption for him. But I'm sure that's probably not how he wanted to take the position off Scott.
No, I imagine the Spaniard would be feeling slightly aggrieved after getting that slight touch from Scott earlier in the race that put him into a half spin that did cost him a couple of positions, and he's dropped him down to 6th position. And of course, him and Scott will much the same as Worislander, who in fact has dropped outside of DRS now with a 1.5 second gap between himself and Jumpalainen. So this is Jumpalainen's chance to start stretching those legs out like we saw him do in Japan last week. And we've still got who's inside DRS right now. Alex is still inside the DRS of Simon, and Meg, he's 0.003 of a second inside of there, so just about had a good exit out of the final corner that's kept him within DRS of Rasty. But of course, with Meg on the hard tyres, Rasty on those mediums, he's probably going to have to sit there and just play the waiting game here, because those tyres will come back to him towards the end of the race. We know that Rasty's done 10 laps on those mediums already. There's still 10 laps left to go, so Rasty is he's going to have a hard time as Worislander picks up 3 seconds. That could be it. That could be the race, and we don't like to foreshadow at all, and of course anything could happen and usually does, but 3 seconds for Worislander, that's a mega blow to his chances of winning this race.
That might be game, set and match. I think we might be having some technicality issues, because Rasty on my screen right now is running on the soft tyre, but on the data it says he's running on the medium tyre. I'm a bit confused by that, but
your
Rasty,
eyes do not deceive you. I also have him running on the soft tyres.
Yeah, so Rasty's pretty much gone Fast and Furious style through the second sector there. He was pretty much sideways going through one of the corners and managed to keep it on the track. That's allowed Meg Luppy to keep within touching distance. So yeah, if he is on those soft tyres and not the alleged medium tyres, then he's going to do well to keep those soft tyres to last 9 more laps of this race after already done 10 laps. So Meg Luppy really just has to stay within touching distance, and you would assume Rasty will be back into the pit stop any time now if those famous soft tyres don't last around here. So yeah, Rasty, I can't imagine if he is on those soft tyres lasting much longer out on track on them.
Adri and Zyman swapping positions, time for time, side by side towards turn 2. Who's going to get the move done? Zyman's trying to go around the outside. Adri's trying to force him wide. It's bringing Alex back into play. We've almost got a 3-way battle for position here, but Zyman up into 10th position. Adri back, and Alex, Zyman picks up 3 seconds. Adri locks up and just about keeps it on circuit, and that's once again brought Alex back into play, and Alex is going to sit behind the Renault. Adri 25 laps on the hard tyres he's done so far, so he is really trying to wring the neck out of those white wall tyres, and I imagine they're almost down to the canvas by how much he's really put these tyres through their paces. Locking up a couple of times will not help at all, and Alex will look to clear the Renault as soon as possible. We've got a yellow in sector 1. Haven't seen anyone losing any time, but it is possible that we'll see no one losing any time as Charlie picks up 3 seconds, but he's well outside of the points at the moment. So as Adri Lockdown does come into the pit lane finally, and will take off those tyres and put on a new set of boots ready for the final 8 laps of the race. We've got White Fountain 0.4 of a second now behind Meg Lugby, fighting over the 8th position, and it's going to be interesting to see how far Fountain can get himself up. Of course, after fighting from the back, can he get up into a decent points paying position as Meg picks up 3 seconds? It's now getting to that stage in the race, isn't it, Sab, where we start to see guys struggle with track limits as Meg slow on the exit of turn 5, and it's really close up the battle. Harry picking up 3 seconds, but with Scott on 6 seconds ahead of him, he's still got that potential to move ahead, but this is really not letting Sam out of the game. Sam, if he can get himself up a little bit, or a few seconds up the road, he's got 4th position, with a bow on it ready for him.
Yeah, I'm watching the battle with Harry and Scott. Harry has been reeling Scott in. He's pushing hard, as proven with that 3-second time penalty. Oh dear! I thought that was a very late breaking from Harry. I thought he was going to run into the back of Scott there, but he obviously knew what he was doing, and he's reeling that Mercedes in now. You would imagine Harry just looks the faster guy at the moment. I've been riding on board with him for a few laps now. He just looks like he's got Scott ready to be taken here. Scott runs slightly wide there out of turn 4. Harry, with that 3 seconds though, that does make it interesting. Like you say with Sam 5.8 seconds behind this battle, so he needs to just start to up his pace a bit, I think, just to make sure he keeps on the tail, so the time doesn't get out of his reach for that 4th place. But at the moment, Harry's having a tidy race. He's up 11 places tonight in 5th place. So yeah, if he'd have qualified a bit better, who knows where Harry'd have been tonight. He could have even been on the podium. But you'd imagine now, as coming around the second last corner, with DRS shortly in a moment, you'd imagine it's going to be easy pickings for Harry, unless Scott can get a good run out of this final corner. I think Harry might get the move done here. He's a little bit off, about 4/10, but I think now Harry's gaining. He's not going to have enough. He's really not going to have it. I thought he might have tried one down the inside, and for that moment, he's just staying behind Scott in 4th.
Those brake discs glowing orange in the Williams as he slows it down behind Scott, and there was a slight plume of tyre smoke on the penultimate corner as he just locked up the left tyre. But Harry still maintaining position behind, so it's more. It looks like he's got the pace on Scott, and Scott will be frustrated because he will not want to be dropping down any further positions, knowing that he's sitting on that 6-second penalty currently, and he'll be wanting to keep it within the 2 white lines on either side of the track to not pick up any further misdemeanors with the race stewards. And but Harry, 2-time race winner last season, picked up a couple of podiums as well. He'll be looking at improving that time and improving that position as Alex picks up 3 seconds with 6 laps left to go. So Alex down in 11th position at the moment. That may call curtains on his attempt at finishing in the points. This is the closest battle we've got on track at the moment, and the likes of Boyben OSB and Harry fighting over 4th, and Harry going wide on the exit, the final corner there, but DRS will be enabled for him heading down towards turn 1. Can he get close enough to make an attempt? Doesn't look like it. You can see Scott there, the reflection in the exit of the corner, that he is saving a little bit of fuel as Rasty picks up 5 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. He does come into the pit box with 5 laps left to go, so he's going to put on I imagine a set of the soft tyres and try not to annihilate them over the next 5 laps or so with tyre temperature, and possibly even set a fastest lap whilst that's happening. But it does actually promote Alex up into the points, so there's still that to play for. And just having a look, in fact Charlie is sniffing a point there, 1.9 seconds now behind Alex, so potentially that awful race that we'd seen from Charlie may just get slightly better with the addition of a championship point to his name. But you see here, Harry 4.5 tenths behind, running wide again there, so he's really using that runoff area. And yeah, can he get it done? Is he gonna? We know that Scott makes that car mighty wide when it comes to overtaking. Can Harry muster up that racecraft that is to get past that former no assist champion Boyben OSB?
That is the question, isn't it? He does seem a lot closer this time, though, coming out of the final turn. Can he try a move this time? You'd imagine he's going to get an almighty tow here with DRS. He feigns to have a look, doesn't he? And Scott, you know Scott, don't he? He's not going to be bothered by a little move like that. He just carries on with his day job and carries on with 4th place. I was just looking further ahead. I was thinking if Foxy Red could just up his pace somewhat. Fortunately, he's dropping down now, and he's actually losing time hand over fist to Warrisland. But if Foxy Red had upped his pace somewhat, he could have snuck 2nd place off of Warrisland. Foxy Red does not have a time penalty as far as I'm aware, as Warrislander does. But unfortunately for Foxy Red, he was 4 seconds, and it's now dropped to 5.2. So maybe he's now just struggling on those hard tyres. But it looks like now Warrislander is nailed on for 2nd place. I thought at one point Foxy Red might have had an opportunity to just sneak it on the penalties, but Foxy Red just starting to lose the car now with those tyres, and he's now 5.3 seconds off.
Yeah, it's this final third of the race that Jumper Line has really started to build that advantage over Warrislander in second, and equally Foxy back in third position equally, who's just had a very quiet race to himself, as we see Charlie and Alex fighting out over the final point. Alex on the hard tyre, Charlie on the medium, so he has that advantage. 10 laps on the mediums though, so he's got to watch out. This dirty air will be definitely hampering him somewhat, and there'll be a lot of outwash coming from the back of that Toro Rosso. And then equally Rasty, who is going to be particularly rapid on these new soft tyres, is starting to reel them in 1/10 every single corner at the moment, so he's going to be flashing up into the rear mirrors as Charlie pulls to the outside of Alex, looks to have got the move done, sweeps around the outside, and the number 2 Mercedes up into 10th position. But Rasty now 1.4 seconds behind the pair. He's going to be pretty quick over the last few laps or so. Can he get himself back up? Although I believe Rasty's sitting on 6 seconds of penalties equally. So Rasty, if he's going to get up into the points, he's going to have to get past these two and get a shift on somewhat, and picks up 3 seconds as I'm talking about it. So let's call that curtains on a potential points playing position for Rasty. That's unfortunate of him. I'm sure the strategy for him was to try and pick up a decent final stint on these tyres, but that, I think, is the final nail in a coffin for him in regards to a points paying position. That might see Charlie home and dry for that point, which is, although not what he wants, it'll be a slight reprieve on what's been a bit of a poor session for him.
Yeah, he won't be pleased with how it's gone, will he, Charlie? I honestly don't know what happened at the start. I assume it was with White Fountain. We'll have to obviously see after the race to see what actually happened. Just further ahead as Charlie sets the new fastest lap with a 1:19.2. So if he does keep that 10th place, he'll be on for a fastest lap point as well. So to be doubling his points for the race, he'll obviously not be delighted with that. He'll want to be further ahead. Harry, in the meantime, he's just starting to drop off from Scott now. That surge might have cost him somewhat, and might have cost his tyre life, because he's just out of reach now. Scott has broke that DRS now, and you imagine...
Sab, just to interrupt you, we've got Warrislander with front wing damage, and he's about to lose second position, and he's about to come into the pit box. Foxy Red must have, or I say Warrislander must have come into contact with the wall somewhere on that lap, and that's going to drop him off the podium on the penultimate lap of the first round of the race, and that is devastating for the Dutchman. He's going to drop way down the order, well off the podium. That's promoted Foxy Red up into a fortuitous second position, and currently Scott up into third, which might see Harry up into third. So this is a bit of a hurry up for these two here if they're going to make a move further up the field, or if they're going to hold position. But that is absolutely gutting for Warrislander, who's now coming out of the pit lane behind his teammate in 8th position.
He's come back out on hard tyres. Does that seem right to you? That's bizarre, if you ask me. I would have surely come out on soft tyres, unless he's used all his soft tyres up. That just seems really bizarre. I imagine they'll be brand new hard tyres, and he'll probably be quicker than the other hard tyre runners, but surely he would come out on soft tyres, would you not? That seems a bit bizarre, but that is devastating, isn't it, for Warrislander? He'll be absolutely gutted. But Foxy Red, as I pointed out, he had opportunity to try and sneak second through penalties, and now he's going to get it outright. Scott, in the meantime, has caught up to the back of Foxy Red. Scott one second, or just under a second behind Foxy Red now, but you'd imagine that won't really matter anyway because of Scott's penalties. There's Harry, who's now made up 12 places in the race. You'd imagine, I don't know, Harry might have only just got 3 seconds, whereas Scott has got 6, so I'm not sure which way round it's going to go, but I think Harry might just steal third place from Scott.
Yeah, we'll see when they cross the line in about a minute's time. if these guys will hold position. Will Foxy Red stay on the podium? It looks as though he's going to, but he's going very slowly over this last lap, and he's really losing a lot of time, so his tyres must really starting to be hurting now. So Scott is closing in, and Scott will want to be keeping that gap between himself and Harry as high up as possible, and he's really close behind, but will go on board with the race leader, who will be coming around the final corner very shortly. We'll just check where Jump Line is. He's coming up to the penultimate corner now, so we'll just stick with this battle between Scott and Foxy Red for a few seconds longer. Does Scott send it to the inside? No, he's not going to have enough time, but who is going to be the star of the show? It's going to be the Racing Point. It's going to be Jumper Linen, who makes it a first race win here, a win on your debut with the fastest lap of the race on 19 lap old hard tyres. That's how you end a race. You really make a statement. And Jumper Linen comes across the line, is in first position. Foxy Red holds on to second. Scott holds on to third as Harry dropped back. And there you go. So Harry in fourth. Although Scott may come under steward's inquiry for that incident with Sam earlier in the race, so we will keep you involved in that, and we'll let you know if it does happen. But Sam and White Fountain, Warrislander, who finishes just ahead of Meg Lugby. We've got Simon coming across the line. Charlie does come across the line. Rasty picks up an extra penalty for unserved 5 seconds. That's in 12th position, and the final racer on the lead lap will be Psycho in the Racing Point, who will be coming around the final 2 corners in a fraction of a second to finish off round 1. And Sab, breathless this one.
Yes, that is a very accurate way of saying it. Jumper Linen proved his pace last week, didn't he? Once again, I think he'd be thankful that we had to have a restart because he didn't start so well. But this race, he was superb, and he didn't buckle under any pressure from Warrislander, and eventually got the race wrapped up nicely. Unfortunate for Warrislander though, wasn't it? Absolutely unfortunate. I can't believe that's how it ended for him. But yeah, that was a fantastic race. I'm not going to lie, I was a bit surprised to see Scott up there, but he drove superbly. He did pick up some penalties, but in the end drove superbly. We will obviously speak to him shortly about that incident with Sam. But yeah, there was great battles throughout the race tonight. It was a real pleasure to watch.
Yeah, these guys really knocked it out the park today, so congratulations to everyone for finishing the race. And here are your final results for round 1 of the IRL F1 League. Jumper Linen moves up from second to first, makes it a debut win here at Invictus, and equally picks up the fastest lap on the last lap of the race in 19.1. Great lap there on the old hard tyres. Foxy Red in second position. Boy Better Know rounds out the podium, moving up from 9th. Harry moving up from 16th to 4th. Great race there for the Williams driver with Sam Pepito in 5th. White Fountain is in 6th after that fight back. Warrislander, unfortunately, after an incident on the 33rd lap, drops to 7th. Meg Lugby in 8th position. Zyman and Charlie round out the points with Alex, Rasty, in 11th and 12th. Psycho unfortunately retired before he reached the line, and then Adri Lockdock finished a lap down, and unfortunately we lost Luke Burmeister Infinity earlier in the session to finishes, and unfortunately Speed Queen was disqualified for the session after having technical issues. And yeah, we'll hopefully get the guys into the commentary box to have a quick question and answer session with them, just find out how they found the race. And whilst we do that, it's top spot in the table now for Jumper Linen and Sab coming into the league. It's the best way you can possibly start, isn't it? When you come in, you're brand new, you're winning pre-season, and you take it straight through into the league. And he did it in absolute style this evening.
He certainly did, yeah. Like I say, he got under some pressure from Warrislander, but ultimately he ended up prevailing and taking the race win. Thoroughly deserved in the end, and to set the fastest lap on those really old hard tyres at the end, that was very impressive indeed.
Yeah, it was absolutely, and I believe we're just waiting for Scott to join us as well. But the the top two have made their way in, so we'll quickly get involved with those guys. Just make sure, guys, that you've got your voices to always allow to be shared on your party settings, so that we can hear you on stream. And it's a great result for you, Jumper Line, and joining the league. And of course, you won in pre-season, pretty dominant style last week. But this one, you've really had to work for with Warislander.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're really even on pace, and yeah, just battling for, I don't know, 28 laps or something. Really close before he had that little. I think he lost his rear road at turn 1 there. When he dropped back a few seconds, then he started catching back in, but he had another something, I don't know.
So when you were battling between the two, he overtook you earlier in the race, and equally, well, you overtook him at the start, and then he overtook you at the start of the second stint. Were you comfortable in thinking that you'd be able to get back past him, or did you think that he was really going to push you to the end of the race?
It's kind of hard to get around on people in Hungary. It's only on the main straight, really, but I think I had slightly lower wings, maybe, so it felt like a slightly easier time to get up alongside than he did when I was ahead. So I figured there come opportunities. There's many laps to go, so.
Yeah, well, congratulations. Fantastic race from yourself. First win on your debut, that's what everyone wants. And in second position this evening was Foxy Red 2000, and congratulations, mate. It's I imagine that you were looking at a third place finish, and then second team seemed to fall into your lap at the end there, and it's a good result. You've had a strong pre-season. Is it the way you wanted to start the season?
Yeah, it was an exciting pre-season, and I came into this round knowing I didn't think I'd do any good. I thought fifth would be my best. Because I haven't played the game since pre-season. Didn't have much practice, and I came into it more looking around me just to see how everyone else did. And to get fourth on the grid was better than I expected. And yeah, it was a good start. I got into third, and then the people in front of me just went away, and then the people behind me just fell back, and I was just driving around in circles for absolutely ages. I got so bored. And then the McLaren had its issue. I closed like 3 seconds on him at one point because of whatever happened in turn 1, and then I saw a bit of debris into the second sector, and I knew at that point that he'd had an off, and then yeah, it was quite scary following him with that damaged front wing, because I almost went into the back of him a couple of times, but I got through. Then I had a bit of company from the Mercedes, which is always fun, and yeah, brought it home, second place. I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean it was a great race, and as you say, it was definitely quite lonely for you out there. And what's it
Yes.
like when you are, as you say, driving around in circles on your own? Is it just keeping the concentration for nailing all your braking points, and not picking up a penalty in that position? Because you were pretty much around 3 seconds away from the guys in front and the guys behind. So it's really just kind of a concentration session for you when it comes to your own race, as opposed to having to fight anyone. So yeah, is it just kind of, no, just nailing those braking points, those apexes, or were you pretty comfortable with the track this evening?
Yeah, it was exactly that. Hungary's not my best circuit at all, so I was just trying to keep it on track. I had a pretty scrappy first stint, but then in the second stint it was a lot smoother. I'm not gonna lie to you, I was just praying and praying that the front two would come together at some point. Like, it was just watching them fight, like it's turn 1 swapping places all the time. I was like, I want to be there, but I just didn't have the pace to join them. So yeah, it was just driving around, keeping it on track, avoiding penalties, and yeah, just keeping it clean.
Well, congratulations, mate. Another strong race from you this evening. That's the second place to start the season, and in third is Scott and Boy Ben OSB. And how are you doing, Scott? That was seemed, well, after qualifying, that seemed like a slightly fortuitous result there. You seem to have a great start both times, and unfortunately in the non-used start to start with, where you moved up, I believe it was almost 7 or 8 positions, and then another mighty start in the second go round. How did you get off the line so quickly?
Luck. No, I don't know. To be fair, I haven't been on the game since Germany last season, and I just done no practice starts, and it come good for me. But it's a bit of a messy race. It just weren't my race. I dislike the track quite a lot. And I was just getting so frustrated with Sam's defending. He was good at defending at some points, and then it was all over the place at the second. I didn't know when he was going to break, where he was going to go, and it inevitably ended up in contact, which I do apologise for. But it was good for me. I've got points and won the podium. It's a start. It's, I haven't done a lot of practice or anything, so it's good. But cool, them two front guys, they're blooming quick, aren't they?
Well, they are indeed, and I think. You look at the grid this season, and obviously now this is your fourth season here at Invictus, and how much has it improved the talent on track, and how much has that sort of that speed that you're having to really push yourself to the next level to compete? Because obviously we saw you in your first season, your championship winning season, picking up multiple race wins, and then obviously last season you went up against Charlie all season long, and this one it seems that the talent pool has increased even more. So what are you going to have to do to really get yourself towards the top end of the podium and the standings towards the end of the season?
Yeah, okay, I think we need to find couple of attempts here and there. Different tracks are going to be better for me. Different tracks are going to be better for sort of Foxy. Everyone's going to have better tracks. But I think it's just making the best out of a bad situation. But today, that's mine. I don't like this track. I think I've had 2 DNFs here out of 3. So I've had a podium. Germany next. I won there last season. So hopefully that can be a track where I can then show them what pace I actually do have on a good day. But I'll take third. I'll take anything when it comes to points. We all know what it's like with Sky-Z on the Tuesday night show. You don't need to be winning races to win a championship. It's all about the points. Charlie last year. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good. It was a bit messier, but rubbing into racing, I suppose, in some ways.
Yeah, well, congratulations. It is a podium. And third place for you to start off the season. Another, I imagine, title attempt of your constructors title. But finally, just wrapping off, we'll go back to Jumper Line and for one final question before I let you three head off for the evening. And it's the German Grand Prix round 2 next week. And moving on from Hungary this week, is it a track that you're looking forward to? It's quite a different circuit, of course, that long straight heading down towards the tight apex hairpin. Are you looking forward to Germany next week?
Yeah, it's an okay track. It's not a favorite. It's not one I dislike. So it's middle of the pack track for me, I guess. It's alright.
Yeah, well, we expect to see you towards the front end, if it's anything like we've seen over the last 2 races from yourself. But yeah, congratulations to you 3 guys tonight. Fantastic race, and yeah, definitely watch that one back because it was great fun to commentate on, and great fun to watch and open the season. But that's us done for this evening. Feel free to leave the party if you want to head off, and we'll just finish off with Sab as we wrap up tonight. And Sab, you look back there, you had a fantastic battle between Warislander and Jumperline, and it was, like we said, it was devastating to see Warislander unfortunately come away with that spin that did lose that front wing, but it will sort of maybe reignite that fire back inside him, ready for round 2, and we might see him back up towards the head of the field. But who really impressed you this evening?
I'd say Jumperline definitely impressed me. He looks very quick. He didn't really buckle under any pressure from when Boris was retaking the lead, and he got back the lead. I feel for Warislander because he did drive superbly tonight. He'll definitely be thereabouts again next week. I'm sure of it. It's just one of those things. Unfortunately, what happened for him, I didn't see it myself, but yeah, he'll be devastated with that because he had second place nailed on. Next week should be very interesting. I know from personal experience Scott is very good around Germany, so I'd imagine him going very quick next week. So yeah, should be a good race. should be a good race to watch.
Yeah, cannot wait for it. Round 2 in Hockenheim next week. But of course, that's not the only racing we've got here at Invictus this week. Tuesday nights is the return for the Realistic Performance League. That'll be Tim and Malc in the commentary box once again for this season. And of course, they'll be back at the Hungarian tomorrow night, 8 p.m. here on the YouTube channel. Wednesday night is IRL F2 and IRL F3 equal performance leagues, and that will be Warris Lander straight off the back of this result this evening. He'll be recollecting himself, ready to join Energy Dan on the in the commentary box for F2, and then Tim and Malc should be rejoining themselves for F3. So plenty more racing here for the rest of the week, and then of course you can join in with the F1 podcast with Sab and I streaming here live on YouTube 8 p.m. on Thursday as we record the F1 podcast, which I'm sure will have all about the Brazilian Grand Prix that happened last night. Now, I'm sure Sab can't wait to get his teeth sucked into with that one, with his beloved McLaren ending up on the podium after a late penalty for Lewis Hamilton. But of course, guys, you can follow us on all the socials at Invictus RL on Twitter and Instagram, Invictus Racing League on Facebook, and of course you can go to the website invictusracingleague.com where you can find all the tables and of course the apply to race section if you want to get yourself on the grid and join up with the community and join Invictus Racing League. And that is us done for this evening. Of course, you can follow Sab and I on Twitter at GT2_driving, for myself at Alan Sabatino. For Sab, we'll be back on Thursday for the F1 podcast. You can join Invictus tomorrow night for Realistic Performance, and of course Wednesday night for the IRL F2 and F3 leagues, and we will be back here on YouTube 8 p.m. next week. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you've liked the stream if you've watched it and you enjoyed it. Make sure you've subscribed if you're not already, and ding the bell to be notified when we go live. We'll be back in a week's time to bring you the second round of the IRL F1 League. Have a great week, guys. We'll see you later.